excited to have you today, Cynthia, and just want to offer you our most warmest welcome. We know that you are a long-time supporter of Polished, and not just this chapter, but Southern Sector and some other chapters. And so it's just such a privilege to get to have you sitting next to me today, and really as a friend. So she said, "Don't call me Doc, call me Cynthia." And so we're just so glad. So welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So since Kat didn't go over your bio, I would really love for you to just give us a little bit about, a little information about who you are, what you do for your full-time job, a little bit about your family, just so we can get to know you.
Well, I always struggle when people say, well, who are you? Because they're really asking you, what have you done and what are you doing, right? So I will tell you, starting from what is most important to me, is that I'm married to one of the most amazing men on earth, and his name is David E. Ross III. And I am, after several, I would say, stumbles, I'm now married to a man who was perfectly made for me. Not perfect, but perfectly made for me. And then I am the mother of this beautiful lady sitting right across, my daughter Sherelle. And she has given to me 4 grandbabies. One's in heaven, so he was so special he had to go to heaven first. And then we have 3 on earth, and that's Kennedy, who is a freshman at West Point, and we have Reagan, who's a junior at Rowlett High and ranked number 5 in her class. Wow. And then we have Jason, who's 11, and he's just a genius. I don't know what he's gonna do, but the dude is just, we call him dude, but he is just so amazing that I don't know what to say about him other than I think he is a genius. Now, talking about my career, I want to first let you know that I started out with a company that most of you may not even know the name of, but Pan American World Airways. So yes, I'm that old. But I spent about 13 years with Pan Am, and it changed my life, traveling all over the world, meeting people that I never expected to meet in my lifetime. But I would say that it just paved the way for a lot of things that I'm doing today. And my next career was in the death care industry. I know you've never heard of that before, but I was vice president and general manager with a company called Stewart Enterprises, which at that time was the 2nd largest company in the United States in the death care industry. And so over a span of about 4 years, I got promoted up the ladder to VP GM, and from there, I had my first little real hiccup, and that was I reached the glass ceiling. And I was told.
Yeah, I was gonna tell us about that. Yeah, no. I'm glad that you're headed there, because I think that this is definitely a group of women who is very familiar with the glass ceiling. So go ahead.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I got permission. I'm going to keep telling my story. But let me tell you, this company was a company that I poured all of myself into, because I didn't have a plan. If people tell you that they know their life plan from 10 years old, I didn't have one. All I knew was I wanted to be successful. And I had defined what success looked like, okay, for me. And let me tell you how I defined it. I wanted to have a nice house. I wanted to drive a nice car. I wanted to wear fine clothes. I wanted to have the most amazing jewelry on my fingers and around my necks and hanging from my ears. Okay? And then I wanted a circle of friends that represented that to me. Okay? That was my plan. And I had given everything I had to get there. And I got there. But then, as I had done all the work that I knew how to do and do it well and had all kinds of accolades and promotions, I hit that place when they told me that we have nothing else for you. You have reached the glass ceiling. And I went spiraling downhill because everything that I knew about Cynthia was connected to that job. And when that no longer appeared to define me, I had to really go in search of, who am I really? Who is this woman? Yes, I can do almost anything. I can achieve. If you give me something and ask me to do it, most likely I'm going to get it done and I'm going to exceed your expectation. But that really didn't define me. And when no accolade can define you, and no amount of money, and no title can define you, what do you do? And that's where I was.
Yeah, I think a lot of us in this room identify, like part of our identity is what we do. It's our jobs. We have women in this room who are very successful and have reached some very impressive titles. And so if maybe somebody in here is in that position, now I want to know, what did you do when you're asking yourself, who am I? Who am I truly?
Because I believe that once you start asking the question and you get the answer, it will scare you because it's so much bigger than you are right now. And it's so much bigger than what you can do by yourself. So it will create a dependency. It will create surrenderance. Yes, I believe I can, but I don't know anything about this. This is so unfamiliar to me. So how will I get there? How could this possibly happen for me? And those were some of the questions that immediately started coming once I got the answer. And do you want me to tell you what the answer is? Yes. I thought you did. And it was that I was a speaker and I was going to travel all across the country speaking about the goodness of God. Well, I barely knew a scripture. I'm being honest. So how is it that I'm going to be used as a voice to tell people how wonderful God is? And I wasn't sure that I even knew, because I had to find my life by my own definition. And so it required me spending more time just listening to learn, what does this look like? How will I accomplish this? And I can tell you that those were some of the most scariest moments in my life because I didn't know how to do it. I had accomplished so much in my life, but I didn't know how to do this. And so it required me surrendering, exhaling, and listening, and building this relationship with God that I didn't have before. Now, was I a believer? I thought I was. I will say that. I'm going to be honest. I thought I was, but you know what? Once I started getting into this intimacy with Him, I realized what was missing in my life. Because all of those things that I had done in corporate America was to tell me that I was significant, to tell you that I am significant. It was to prove to me and others that I had value, that I was smart, that I could do all of these amazing things, but it did not eradicate that insecurity that I had inside of me, that lack of identity. It didn't take that away. No accomplishments took that away. But as I began to build this relationship, I began to see myself. It was like I could see myself on platforms speaking to people. Before, something like that would have scared my socks off, okay? Because that was not something that I ever saw myself do. But today, I'm living this life that he created me to live. And so I can step out on a platform and trust that my daddy's got me. That this isn't something that I created. This is something that he created for me. And I can access that anytime I agree with him.
I just want to give you the mic back. Gosh, I feel like we can just sit in that for a little bit, because you talked about getting, first at the beginning you were getting your significance from your job and from other people, but this kind of like flipped it upside down, which is very common for, you know, this faith that we proclaim and that we talk about at Polish. It's kind of like everything's like backwards, you know, the first shall be last and the last shall be first, and this sounds kind of the same thing. I want to go back to something you mentioned, and that was fear. Will you speak a little bit about the fear that you felt and kind of how you overcame that?
So I think there is a difference in fear and having some anxiety about things. Fear, I believe, chains you to what you can't do. So you flip it around and you say, I'm fearful. I don't really think that I am worthy of something, so I decide that I'm going to create something else, okay? So fear, I believe, takes what is great about us, okay? It takes our attention away from what's great about us to what's wrong with us, what we lack, how inadequate we are, okay, how deficient I am. Whereas if you feel that fear, you can feel it and say, you know what? I have those feelings. Those feelings are real, but it's just like you standing right there. If I decide that I know that you're fear and I'm going to walk toward you, the closer I get to you, the less I fear you. It is when I don't deal with you that I allow that fear to continue. So I'll make it clearer in another way. Fear is always going to make you feel less than you are. It's going to always take your attention away from how great you are. Fear is always there to make you feel like this, but you don't have to. You can choose to say, you know what, I feel this fear, it is there, but I am going to keep walking. I'm going to keep walking. I'm not going to let that fear hold me back. And I'm going to keep asking the question of who am I really? I'm going to keep asking the questions, where is the greatness in me? Because all of us, I'm going to give you a download or something. There is nothing you have done that you're the only person who's done it, good or bad. Good or bad. You're not alone. So fear will make you feel like you're the only person that made that stupid decision. That you're the only person that chose that wrong guy. You're the only person that was fired from your job. You're the only person who had sex on a one-night stand. Okay, I'm just telling you, that's what fear does. It makes you feel like you're the only person who has done that. But when you take fear and move it out of the way, you will realize that I've done that, she's done that, he's done that, and there's a whole lot of other people who have done the same thing. What does that do to your fear? It destroys it because you're not alone. You have other people who now you can relate to, you can talk to about that. If I let you know some of the mistakes that I've made in my life, some of the things that I've done that, yes, I'm not so proud of, it will build a connection with you and I. Because now we're on what? Equal grounds. Because most of the time, the greatest fear we have is that somebody will know our truth. That somebody will discover our mess. That somebody will go into our crazy closet and realize that we've done that. But the truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, everybody's done everything you've done. There are plenty of people who can join you in the circle of your craziness. But if you let fear be the focus, you'll never meet the other people who have gone through what you're going through. Fear will cause you to cover it up. And you know how we cover it up? How we dress, what we drive, where we live, what position we have. Those are all of the things that we do to cover up our shame, cover up our fear, cover up our guilt, when we don't have to. Understand that there are plenty of people around you who have done some of the same things. I had a daughter out of wedlock. I had a daughter before I got married. You know, there was a time in my life I was ashamed of that. But not anymore. Look at that beautiful woman I birthed. Look at that beautiful woman God gave me, right? Now, I could walk around and be ashamed of that. Or I could free you by letting you know what I did. Okay? But that wasn't the end of my life. That was just one situation that happened. And you know what? It's a blessing to me today. Because had I aborted her, I would not have my 4 grandbabies. There are blessings in our mess. Don't let the mess chain you to guilt and fear and shame. Let it propel you into the greatness that you can have in your life. I have a great life. Amen.
You said also in our conversation before, shame and fear bring about a false identity. And I think that's exactly what you just said. And I love the idea of using your fear to give freedom to others.
Yeah.
And to help them, to propel them to who God really created them to be and get there quicker. And know that they're not alone.
That's right.
And I hope that that's something that Polish can be for everybody here, and that's a kind of community. And even community sometimes feels like too broad because it's even more intimate. It's just this intimate friendships. Those are the friendships that we're trying to build here, just to remind people that they're not alone, that they're not alone in their fear,
Right.
and to just knock down those barriers that are built up from fear. So you need to come back. I wish we had another hour because I could really just give you the mic and like sit here and listen to you because you have just so much wisdom. Yes, it is over, sadly. But thank you for being here. Is there a last word that you want to share? I will share whatever is on your heart. That's the last word that you want to.
Okay, so I need you to do me a favor. If there's shame, if there's guilt, if there's doubt that's in this room right now, I want you to know that you can make a decision right now to move past that. Don't let it chain you to a false identity. Let it free you into your true identity. You are great no matter what you've been through, no matter who spoke negative words over you, no matter what. I want you to know there is greatness in every single one of you. You are created with greatness in mind. Forgive yourself for the things that you've done wrong, because you know what? I probably have done them too. Okay? Forgive, move on. You can decide right now, I'm going to move past this thing and I'm going to let it propel me into the greatness that I can be as a result of that. Okay? If I had more time, I could tell you a lot of stuff that's in my crazy closet that I have used today to make me better. to help me have compassion for other people, because I realize that a lot of that stuff we all do. We all have done it. But it doesn't stop us unless we let it. So would you free yourself today? Would you let go of that mess? Shake it off and keep moving and keep believing that I can do this. I can achieve this. There is greatness in my life plan, and I'm going to go after it, and I'm not going to let anybody stop me. Would you promise me you'll do that? Or at least think about it. And if you need my help, call me. I'll be there.
Help me thank Cynthia.